What's up, MetaNerds? Today we're going to talk about what Leia describes as her first time interacting with the Force. Now in this new story, she mentions how Luke always told her that it was through the Force that she was able to sense Luke's pain and fear on Cloud City. But Leia kind of just attributed this to like a gut feeling, a sort of instinct. It wasn't the overwhelming Force that she experiences in this new story. In the canon novel Aftermath Life Debt, we get to see how Leia was training and trying to develop her Force abilities. Even though she's very busy with her work with the New Republic, she finds time each and every day to escape and meditate. Her meditation chamber is a simple, white room with a whole bunch of windows and nothing in it except for Leia and a potted plant. Now this plant has a very interesting backstory. It's a sapling from a little acorn that was given to Leia on Endor from the Ewok Wicket. Which is really funny because Leia's basically meditating in front of a bonsai tree version of those gigantic Endor trees. Luke has told Leia that one way to experience the Force is to be able to reach out and feel its presence in all living things. So, her meditation involves her relaxing and trying to focus and reach out and feel the life force inside this tree. But despite the fact that Luke keeps telling her it's a real thing, and even though she tries every day, Leia has still yet to feel the tree. Sometimes she gets really frustrated and has even told Luke that maybe she just doesn't have this Force ability like Luke and, as much as she hates to admit it, her father. It's important to point out that at this time, Leia is dealing with her very stressful work in the New Republic, Han and Chewie have ran off to try and liberate Kashyyyk, and Luke has disappeared off the map in search of who knows what. She starts to really focus on how helpful Luke's presence would be right now, and the more she focuses on Luke, the more she can feel that her thoughts feel almost like roots, like living things reaching out across the Force? She starts calling out for Luke as if somehow he can hear her thoughts. Then she starts to get really overwhelmed thinking about all the people that have left her and how she has a child that she has to raise. And then something kicks in.
Her skin tingles. Her mind feels suddenly unmoored from the rest of her. Leia feels dizzy enough to fall over. Oh my! There it is, washing over her and through her. An awareness unlike any she's ever felt before. A pulsing glow, flickering and strong. It's not the plant. It's not Luke. It's not even Han. It's her child.
She adds that this isn't merely her being physically aware of her child in the womb. That's been going on throughout the whole pregnancy. But this is something different, something that surrounds her, something that feels as if she can be in touch with the mind of her child. She can sense that her unborn child has great determination, willpower, and a keen mind. She kind of chuckles and says, by the blood of Alderaan, he's going to be a fighter. And then it hits her, wait a second, he? This is the first time she realizes that she's giving birth to a boy. She's overwhelmed with emotion, starts to cry, and thinks finally she's able to experience what Luke has always described as the light side of the Force. But in the very next moment, her happiness is shattered. An awesome quote from the book is, "What rides on the heels of hope but fear?" She can literally feel this shadow overwhelm this light energy that she had previously felt as she starts to go through all the different things she's fearing right now. Fear that maybe Han has been killed on Kashyyyk. Fear that maybe Luke will never return. Fear that she'll have to raise this child alone in an unstable galaxy. In two extremely sad moments, especially knowing what happens in episode 7, she says one of her biggest fears is what will be her legacy, and more importantly, what will be her boy's legacy. Now in panic with crazy thoughts racing through her head, she tells herself, focus, breathe, just breathe. And suddenly she hears Luke's voice say, clear your mind, Leia, focus, focus. She doesn't know if that was really Luke's voice or if she was just hallucinating. And that's where the scene ends. I think it's very interesting that her first real experience with the Force led her pretty quickly to start fearing a whole bunch of things. And of course we know,
fear is the path to the dark side. Fear leads to anger. Anger leads to hate. Hate leads to suffering.
I think it's important to add that another scene similar to this happens in Empire's End, the novel that comes after this one. In it, Leia is in a similar dreamy meditative state when she's reaching out through the Force. It starts off good, and then she starts to see stars winking out of existence until it all goes black, and she actually feels hands around her neck strangling her. This scene only comes to an end once Han Solo wakes her up. I think these scenes are really interesting because they ask a lot more questions than they answer. Why is it that every time Leia tries to reach out to Luke through the Force, the dark side interferes? Is this interference coming from Leia's own doubts and fears, or is it coming from someone else? And how do you think all of this could have affected the young Ben Solo? Let me know in your comments below. We love hearing from you guys, and if you want more of this kind of content, be sure to like and subscribe. And remember, may the Force be with you, always.